Well, hello and welcome to Numbers Are Your Friends, episode number 203. I am Mitchell Walker and I am your host of Numbers Are Your Friends, where we talk about the numbers that are interesting, exciting, meaningful, impactful, all those good things about numbers that help you every single day have a better life. So, let's jump right on in. Since numbers are your friends, let's bring a few of those friends out and let's get to talking about them. Our first number today is the number 2020. So what does 20 have to do with our number of the day today? Well, what it is 20 is the amount of years that you have left after you reach your 65th birthday, according to the latest life expectancy tables that are published here for the United States. That's right. If you make it to 65, you, on average, can expect to live another 20 years. So that is a long time. To give you a perspective on that, you go back to just a little over 100 years ago, let's say the turn of the century, 1900, the average lifespan or life expectancy in 1900 was only 45 years old. Those people who did make it to 65 numbered 1 out of 12. Today in the Western Hemisphere, it is averaged 10 out of 12 make it to 65. So 10 out of 12 people are going to have to deal with at least, or on average, at least 20 years of retirement that they're going to need to fund if they slow down at 65. Now the good news is you don't necessarily have to slow down at 65. We are much more active, much more involved than what we were years ago. Just a couple generations ago, our parents, our grandparents, when they turned 65, they went and sat on a park bench for a couple years and then killed over and we planted them, you know. But it's different nowadays. You turn 65, about that age, and you're ready to go do things. As a matter of fact, most people will spend more money, according to Roger Whittaker, who's the retirement answer man, will spend more money their first 3 to 4 years in retirement than they did the last 3 to 4 years of their working career. So, what I'm saying here is this is a real number. It's out there. It's not specific to individuals because it's a statistic. And what I mean by that is this is the average. This is what the average person has. Your number may be a lot less or it may be a lot longer. Let me use myself for an example. I recently took a little online test where I was asked my age, which is 64, my weight, my height, my blood pressure, and how often I did some sort of physical exercise weekly. When I filled out the little test, it told me that I had a 50-50 chance of living to be 92. That's 28 years from now. So I've got a long time that I'm going to need money. Now, once again, that shouldn't scare me because it also gives me time to pile it up. So, which kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about in our second segment today. But I want you to think about this number 20 because it's a real number. It's really there. It can be used for a plus or a minus, but you need to be aware that your days in retirement are going to be many more than the generations that came before us. Okay? That's tip number 1 for the day, or our friend number 1 to visit us. Our friend number 2 that's going to visit us is the number 360,000, and this is miles per second. 360,000 miles per second. This is a number that you'll recognize as the speed of light. It's a really fast number. To give you a visual example of this, so to speak, or a verbal example of what that means, that in 1 second, 1,001, light can travel the same distance as going around the Earth 7.5 times. So it is really, really fast. But what I want to talk about today is who has used this number, 360,000, to really change mankind's future and has had a huge impact on us, and that's a gentleman by the name of Albert Einstein. And the reason he did was he was able to come up with what is called the theory of relativity. Now, you're going to be shocked because I fixed to explain the theory of relativity to you in less than 2 minutes because I stole this idea on how to do it from a gentleman who's a youth minister at a church in Little Rock, Arkansas, and he wrote a book called Rise of the Time Lords, and I read it a couple of years ago, and his name is Michael Belote, B-E-L-O-T-E. If I pronounced that incorrectly, I apologize, Michael, but that book is Rise of the Time Lords by Michael Belote, and great little read, funny, he's a good writer, entertaining, but here's what he said. He said that when Einstein looked at what was going on with motion and the physics of time and distance, there were three variables that were involved in what he was working on. One was the speed, how fast something was going. The second one was how far, the distance that it went. And the third was how long was it going, or how long did it take. So you had those three variables. People were aware of this. And here's the great example, is that Einstein may have thought this, he might have thought this, but this is a good one for us to use. And I have some props today that we're going to use. A baseball and a flashlight, okay? So, let's say that we're driving in a train and the train is going 50 miles an hour. And I have a really good fastball that I throw, so I stick my head out the window and I throw that fastball out at another 50 miles an hour, okay? That means if you add the speed of the train to the speed of when I can throw the ball, that means the ball is moving at 100 miles an hour relative to its surroundings, okay, that are standing still, the planet Earth. Okay, that's where relativity comes from. So it's moving at 100 miles an hour. So in an hour, if there were no other forces acting on that ball, it would go 100 miles. All right, here's what Einstein discovered. That's because the 50 miles an hour of the train was added to 50 miles of the ball. Speed of light, 360,000 feet per second. Okay, so Einstein shines the light after sticking it out the side of the train and takes a measurement, and he finds out that the light is not going 365,050 miles an hour. It's only going 360,000 miles an hour. Now, I'm rounding some numbers on there, so all you true science nerds, please don't get mad at me, okay? But what has happened to that extra 50 miles an hour? The equation, in order to balance the time, the distance, and the speed, all are relative to one another, and all have an effect on one another. If one changes, the other one has to change. Well, here's where Einstein's mind just exploded past every other human being that existed at that time. He was able to take in the fact that time itself could be changed. And that, my friend, is where the theory of relativity comes from and can be proven and has led to time travel, which actually happens. That's been proven. We have atomic and nuclear weapons and energy, which powers a ton of the world right now, and on and on with laws of physics and so forth. So this number introduces us to someone we will talk about a lot in the future, Albert Einstein, because he was a very, very smart man. All right, our large number, our dumb number of the day. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing, and it's sad. This one's really kind of sad too. Okay, a guy by the name of Niall Ferguson, maybe Neil Ferguson or Niall Ferguson, I don't know exactly how he pronounces his name, who is with the Imperial College of London over in England. Sometime in the last 10 days, they came out with a study that was very impactful both on the UK and on the United States on how to handle what's going on with the coronavirus. Okay? And what was so amazing about this study was it did have good data with it. It had a ton of more data than anybody else had been able to put together. And Niall Ferguson came out and said that he expected up to 500,000 deaths in the UK and 2 million deaths in the US. Well, that has a huge impact on public and our elected officials. About 6 days ago, someone from Oxford came out and said, wait a minute, we think this is not right. We think there's some fallacies in here. Well, Neil, Mr. Ferguson comes up and says, no, my stuff's right. Well, apparently a committee at the Parliament in UK wanted a little more information from Mr. Ferguson, so they had him come in and visit with them the day before yesterday, and he has now completely backtracked on his numbers. So his original number was 1,999,900 and some odd thousands of Americans would die from the coronavirus. His new number for Britain, which was 500,000, is now 20,000. His new number for America, which was 2 million, is now somewhere between 20 and 40,000, which pretty much makes it a regular flu event, okay? And also there was another statement on the very bottom of his statement that he had to Parliament where he said that approximately half of these people would have succumbed during the year anyway. Succumb means die, for those of you who don't know that for sure. So, our dumb number today is 1,999,900 and some odd thousand people who this guy said was going to die, which is sad enough of itself, but I'm afraid that that's the reason why, a big reason why, we're fixing to spend $2 trillion to pump into an economy that was grounded to a halt over the last week and a half. Now, I don't have all the data, I don't know everything, but I know that when something is this far off and you made a choice on it, then you need to go back and relook at your choice. That's all I'm saying. You need to go back and relook at that choice, because we're fixing to spend $2 trillion minimum, and that brings up something. Who has got $2 trillion sitting out there that the United States is going to be able to borrow to spend this money, because we're already running a deficit every year? So I'm just saying, numbers are your friends, but sometimes your friends can do something really stupid, and when they do something stupid, they need to be called on it. So call out that dumb number if you see it, and that was a dumb number. All right, now I told you I was going to give you, or I didn't tell you, I want to give you, we had some feedback from some of the people that have been watching our vlog, and the actual feedback I want to share with you today is from my wife, who I have a little in term of endearing that I call her my assignment, because when I agreed to take on the marriage to this wonderful, sweet, beautiful, kind, smart woman, I looked at that as that was my assignment that I had from God, my number one assignment that I'm supposed to take care of, and so I call her my special assignment sometimes. She doesn't think that's real cute sometimes. I think it does. I think it is. But, okay, so I had done the vlog about multitasking. Now, she's the most organized human being I've ever known in my life, too. It comes natural to her, and we're right in her wheelhouse, organization, which is not right in the middle of my wheelhouse, as you can tell from these vlogs. But this morning, actually, she says, I watched your vlog on the one you put out yesterday, and I was at 8. And I just kind of like, okay, you were at 8. 8 what? She counting backwards. I was at 8 when you told me to stop. I said, okay, that's really good. What do you tell me? She said, so I can multitask. I can do multitasking. I said, well, honey, I'm not sure what that means. Where were you on the banana count? If you haven't seen that, you're going to have to go watch that for this to make sense. Where were you on counting the sleeves of the banana? She goes, oh, well, I didn't do that. I was following the first instructions you gave me. I was going to count the banana leaves after I finished counting down from 20. I said, well, honey, that just shows you can only do one thing at a time. You're just really good at prioritizing. You're really good at staying away from distractions. You're really good at all those things. That's why you're so good at organizing. But it proves my point, you can't multitask. She said, that is multitasking. I said, I love you, my sweet assignment. So, that probably didn't go over well. I probably failed that deal right there. But that's it. Now, we're going to end today with a new sign-off. See how y'all like it. If you don't like it, tell me. If you like it, tell me. But it goes like this. Peace, love, and arithmetic. Take care.